shared that thought, as did, I know, Ray McGovern, probably am right, that there were times, and certainly true in my case, when I could have told, possibly much greater effect than later, truth about what the government was doing, and I didn't do it. I should think of doing it. I'm very struck to hear you acknowledge that. It's courageous in itself to do that. Courageous because it risks embarrassment. And the idea of risking embarrassment is what keeps people from doing civil disobedience, even in the smallest way often, and doing what they should, embarrassment with their friends. Now, there are some people who seem almost proof against that, that really do awe me in this very audience. Let me say that for a long time, 40 years I would say, my Quaker friends have a slogan that has made me a little uneasy, which is their goal is speaking truth to power. And that always means to me, well, that's what I did as an official, that was my job, and that's what Ray McGovern did, that's what Ann Wright did, that's what you did. I'm sure you feel you were telling the truth to your superiors. And it took me a long time, longer than it took Bradley Manning, which impresses me very much, to realize two things. A, that it didn't have any effect, telling it only to the people in power, keeping it inside the government, which is the price of having access to all this stuff. The implicit and explicit agreement that you will not tell it whatever it involves to anyone outside the branch that might embarrass the government. And the second thing is, as you say, at first it doesn't have any effect. Second, because, as Noam Chomsky says, power knows the truth. They know what I was telling them, and it hadn't affected them when they heard it from anybody else. So for a long time, it felt to me that it's better to do something with that slogan. One thing is telling the truth of power to people who have been denied it, to others, giving them power outside and countervail that government power. And then there's a particular thing of speaking truth to power in public, right in front of everyone. And we have the world champion of that, I dare to say here today, Medea Benjamin. Truth to power to the president. I was so awed that I knew her, and she's a wonderful American and a patriot. Of course, I've heard both Ann Wright and Ray McGovern do much the same. Ray to Rumsfeld and Hillary Clinton, right? Both get escorted out. And when the president, that's a different way of doing it, and it's not in this country yet civil disobedience to do that. It's not breaking the law, although you can get your arms twisted and hauled out of the room very fast for doing it, as you all know, against the law. But the possibility of embarrassment, stick your face out in front. When the President Obama said, very graciously, let her talk, of course, I don't agree with what she says. It made me think, now, first of all, I don't believe that. It's like everything else he says. Which part of what she said didn't he agree with? That there were people on hunger strike protesting years without charges in Guantanamo? He didn't agree with that. That he could, as President, Commander-in-Chief, get them out of there in a day by signing a paper? He didn't agree with that. No, he knows better than that. He knows that. But the people who heard that on television didn't know it, and they heard it. Thanks for her. Jody Powell founded Club Think with her, and got arrested for both of them. Between here, obviously, the people at the table. Yesterday, I said that the large gathering yesterday was for me a family, an extended family gathering. I didn't know a lot of the people. I know what I'm rather significant for each. This is a real family gathering for me. But on the issue of telling truth, the question is raised, I think, and we've heard it so often, and I've asked it so often. Why is Obama doing this? Why more prosecutions than George W. Bush or all presidents put together? For instance, here's what makes that question a little tighter way. I'd say it's after 9/11. He's got an environment that makes it more possible for him to do that, to crank down, make it look like national security. It's generally a more reactionary court, but that was true under George W. Bush, pretty much, and the courts in general. So why didn't Bush push it the way Obama is? And I thought of an answer just yesterday in the course of hearing myself interviewed on the foreign press, which were well represented yesterday. The American press was represented by Fox News only. And I must say, I had the unique opportunity for me of saying something nice to Fox News, to congratulate them on something. I said I give credit to the head of Fox News for having recognized that Obama and Holder's charges that he had overseen against James Rosen of Fox News for possibly aiding and abetting, being a co-conspirator for doing his job of getting classified information was a violation of the Constitution and against the First Amendment. And Fox News has awakened to that at this point, and maybe some of the rest of the press will at this point. There may be a little turning point on that. Actually, there has been, over the last few years, a change in the attitude toward the word whistleblower in this country. And one of the signs of that is that that the government is arguing that Bradley Manning is not a whistleblower. And all of his critics, his opponents, are saying he's no whistleblower, and I have gotten more praise than I have in 20 or 30 years. Because Dan Ellsberg is a whistleblower. Good. That was never thought of as putting me up on a good pedestal before. And Bradley Manning is not a whistleblower, which is absurd. But it does recognize that whistleblowing is somehow come of age as being the right thing to do under many circumstances. I was mentioned to several of the German television yesterday and today. I was given a whistleblower award a few years ago, about 5 years ago in Germany, Federation of German Scientists and the Federation of German Judges. And just before I was to go on to be introduced by the head judge of their administrative Supreme Court, with a bunch of other judges behind the stage, I asked him, by the way, what is the German word for whistleblower? And they all agreed that there is no German word for whistleblower. That's why it's a whistleblower award. And, so my first reaction was, how lucky you are to live in a country that doesn't need a word for whistleblower. But then I said, well, what's the best word, the closest you can come to? So he quickly said, and the other judges agreed, traitor. Traitor. So I said, is there perhaps any other word? And so they thought it was petzer, which means, I was told, snitch, tattletale, teacher's pet, informant, basically. As a matter of fact, I asked a French interviewer just last week who was interviewing what the French word is. Collaborator. Informant. Collaborator with the Nazis. Informant, well, I said to the Germans, that's pretty much the associations it has in my country, in English too. But that is changed a little bit. We're beginning to get a sense of why we need whistleblowers and what they do for us. To mention one benefit, for example, that I think not everybody recognizes with Bradley Manning. The Gay Parade Committee in San Francisco actually accused him of putting American troops in harm's way. And since American troops have always included gays, and now some of them are telling the truth about that, I'm sure. Some of their gay people didn't want Bradley Manning named as a Grand Marshal in the gay parade that's coming up, which I was going to represent. I was looking forward to it. And so they said, put people in harm's way. The fact is, of course, not one person has been shown to have been harmed by what he did, either true or otherwise. On the other hand, tens of thousands of American troops, men and women, would be in harm's way in Iraq right now, if it were not for Bradley Manning and WikiLeaks. The fact is, I'm saying that in a very specific sense. As a matter of fact, the German interviewer here just wants something, gee, what makes you say that? precisely this, that one of the very many state cables of the hundreds of thousands who were put out revealed that the State Department was aware of an American atrocity, a serious one, by the way. I think there were 10 or 11 women and children, actually, their hands bound behind their backs, shot in the head by American troops. And then they called in a airstrike to cover up how they'd been killed. The Iraqis knew very well that the airstrike had not handcuffed them. He was aware of the atrocity here. But the Americans had denied it. State cable, one of these thousands, said, which was revealed in prior readings, said that not only knew of that it had not been investigated and, of course, had not been prosecuted. That revelation specifically in the Iraqi press led Iraqi opposition and Maliki's own party to demand that no Americans could stay in the country on the risk of committing atrocities, which was a daily occurrence, with immunity from Iraqi prosecution, since Americans would not prosecute atrocities they were aware of. Very straightforward reaction. Well, Obama was negotiating to keep at least 10,000 and maybe much more than that in Iraq beyond the deadline that George Bush had negotiated at the end of the year. He negotiated that up until the last minute, but he had to demand immunity. He couldn't risk accusations of the kind of atrocities we saw on the video rather than the He couldn't risk Iraqi prosecution. He couldn't do it without immunity. He couldn't let them stay with immunity. So they all had to leave. Many of them would have died by this time, if this time. That's what I told the Gay Trade Committee. So, final point. If Bradley Manning had asked me what he asked Ivory Amano, what would you do if you'd seen hundreds of, seen horrible things, terrible things, crimes, and you had free run of all this? And if he'd asked me whether he should put out the video, I would have said, of course, absolutely, it should be out, should have been out long before, worth great personal risk to get it out. If he'd asked me, should I put out the entire Afghan war logs, or the entire Iraqi war logs, thousands and thousands of pages, which he obviously could not have read altogether, or the 260,000 state cables that he hadn't read, I'm pretty sure I would have told him, no, I didn't put out stuff that I hadn't read, and I wouldn't put out stuff classified that I hadn't read. I was wrong. 3 years have passed. We have 3 years of experience to see what came of his doing exactly what he did do, which was to put that out to WikiLeaks. That WikiLeaks put it out to a consortium of papers, international, which was crucial, who used their editorial staffs and their judgment and their years of experience to select out any one paper. With the New York Times had printed the Tunis cables? I don't think so. Ben Ali would still be the dictator of Tunis if he hadn't sent those out. Would there be the evidence of hundreds, even 1,000 instances in any one hand dozen or things that he read that showed how many times we had handed over prisoners to be tortured in an illegal act and then ordered that that not be investigated, another illegal act? No. No one harmed as it's turned out, so the risks, which may not have been zero, were obviously nowhere in the level of the risks that people imagine. And on the other hand, enormous benefits that could not have been seen. If somebody asked me that advice tomorrow, I'd give them different advice than I would have 3 years ago. So that's why I think that this man is not only a hero of mine, but I hope that he knows that he's a hero to very many people in the world.